Thank you. I'm ready. We'll call a meeting of Stanley City Council to order Tuesday, December 13th, 2022. Tax abatement.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Michael Block, a property tax consultant from Ryan, filed abatements on behalf of Rohr's Company for the Stanley Square building for the years 2020, 2021, and 2022. The commercial section of the building has only housed 2 businesses for the past few years, with the other business spaces being vacant. So after discussion with Vanguard, as well as Lori Hansen from the County Tax Director's Office, I am recommending a 35% obsolescence on the retail portion of the building for all 3 years, resulting in a value of $2,584,400 for 2020 and a value of $2,359,700 for 2021 and 2022.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add, this is Michael Block calling in from Ryan LLC. I'm representing Rohr's Companies and their filings. Just wanted to say that after discussion with Hannah Collins, myself and the property owner are in agreement with those recommended values. And that's it.
Can you just repeat the numbers? How does it compare with what they were asking for?
Do you have a copy of the abatements? Yep, put some on there.
Yeah, as for what I was asking for, those numbers are slightly above what we initially came in at. But after discussion, I think the obsolescence that was applied is agreeable. I can pull up our initial request. 1 second. All right, so we had initially requested $2,429,000 in 2020, and his requested value was $2,584,000. And then for 2021 and 22, we were asking for $2,736,500, and her value was I'm sorry, those were the assessed values. So we were asking for $2,356,000 in 21 and 22. Her value was $2,359,700. So about the same as what we were asking for in those 2 years.
They lowered the tax or the taxes coming in by how much, Hannah?
That would be a question for the county.
I believe your question was, did you ask how much that would lower the taxes by?
Yep.
Okay, sorry, my audio is cutting in and out. This is not the exact number, but I believe it's approximately 12,000.
Move to approve.
There's been a motion on the table to approve the tax abatement. Is there a second?
Second.
Ty Taylor, second the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Oh,
You need to do roll
Oh,
call.
yeah, it better be a roll call.
Lauren,
I
guess, can we have a quick discussion? Because this is my first tax abatement hearing and I'm not 100% sure what, I guess, they're requesting a lower value than what Hannah gave them
Exactly.
under just the premises that it's coming from Tioga's. I mean, do you feel like that's accurate what they showed? I guess I feel like we all kind of had a tax increase, so I'm just wondering why they're saying that there shouldn't be that high during a time where property values spiked up pretty high. So
Yeah, and I discussed it with Lori up at the county tax director's office, and she also agreed with or thought that 35% seemed reasonable because they do have those vacancies. And so a typical thing on buildings, if there's a vacancy, is there's an obsolescence applied to it because it's not being used, so it's not generating income. So that helps to, I guess, kind of even that out, or however you want to put it.
I guess I would also have a question too for, what's his name on the phone? Michael. Do you feel that part of your vacancy is due to having too high a rent?
No, I don't believe so at all. Most of the vacancy in this building is in fact the commercial area on the first floor. We're also seeing higher vacancy in the actual apartment. When we're looking at the NOI, which is how investors are going to value this building, as of right now, they are not even going to pay our new values. That's what I believe that Hannah's values are actually optimistic. We're really just trying to get this up down to something that we consider to be fair based on what an investor would pay based on the income of this building over the past 3 years.
Thanks.
Yep.
So did they compare rent prices with like the town and country buildings, or is it just going off of the building from Tioga? Just curious.
Yeah, so I compared this specific building to buildings in Stanley and Tioga. We looked at rents of comparable buildings, rents of this building, as well as, like I said earlier, net operating income being the biggest factor. And based on this property's net operating income, we felt that the values were too high on the original assessment for 2021 and 22. So once we factored in this obsolescence for the retail area, which I truly do believe is very unlikely to rent, and as requested values, all more in line with what an investor is going to pay for this property.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Hearing no nays. Application passes. Okay, minutes.
So we have 2 sets of minutes. You'd have the November 8th and the December 8th special council meeting. I do have one change that I made after I sent out the minutes on November 8th. Would be on page 5 under the Public Works report. Because we plan on sending these minutes to the ambulance in regards to, going forward that we're now going to charge them for city services. I kind of wanted to put in there that stated that, since they have a water meter and they are no longer an entity of the city, that they
Right.
should be charged. So I made that change in the minutes, so.
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries. Planning and zoning recommendations.
Mr. Mayor, council members, we had our regular meeting last evening. A conditional use permit from H2O Connections, Jared Wirtz. This was to put a water pump on property of the Nelson Hubbard properties. It's on the south side of the little reservoir south of town, to pump frack water to a oil field site. Since this one has been there before, in previous dealings with the council decided that if it's a returning permit, they don't have to go through the conditional use hearing. And because this is returning, we followed that from prior, that they don't have to go through the conditional hearing. So it was, a motion was made and approved to allow their placement of their water pump. And again, they have to follow all the county right of way and pipe laying and all the requirements. And the State Water Commission is in control of the water. If the level of water drops, that's up to the State Water Commission to shut them down. And they can only take out, I believe it was 300 acre feet at 7,000 gallons per minute.
With that said, I don't think we need a motion to approve that because it's been previously approved, so.
It is a new permit. It's just that so he has to renew it every year, just like he does his temporary water permit with the State Water Commission.
So we
So
have,
we still have to approve, you guys still have to approve this permit. We just don't have to go through the public hearing process.
okay,
Yes.
all right. Can I get a motion then to,
So moved. Second.
motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
Next up, Doug Larson has been on our commission for quite a few years now, and his term is up now at the end of the year. And he requested not to be reappointed. And with that, he did submit a letter of resignation, which Lynn has on file. And I'd like to thank him for his time that he's put into it all these years. And with that, different people were asking, or we asked different people if anybody would be interested. Blair Hamilton, who had previously served with us years ago, he had to quit because of his job was too demanding and he didn't have the time to put into it, and his kids were little then. He showed interest and he wanted to, and he asked it if you'd consider him to be appointed to join us. But that is later in your agenda package. I just was, that's a information only for you at this time.
Well, thanks for that. Yep.
And unless you have any comments or questions, that's all I have tonight.
Any other questions for Todd? Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Okay, Amanda had to take off her minute. She called me a little while ago. I wish she'd left earlier. But, so she's not gonna be here for that P and Z Administrator's Report. We've got the report, right? I mean, we've all seen the report. So, I think basically we can handle it just by approving your report.
Motion to approve the P and Z administration report.
Is there a second? Motion and a second's been made to approve the P and Z Administrator Report. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Visitors Committee, Randy.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. Visitors Committee first, is that what I heard?
Yep.
Okay, Stanley Visitors Committee met last week. We had one application, the White Earth Valley Saddle Club, for a requested amount of $2,000 for their Frigid Friday events. I believe there's 4 of them that they hold throughout the winter months. And we moved to recommend approval of the $2,000 request.
Okay.
Move
Motion
to
to,
approve.
okay, motion to approve. Is there a second? Second. Okay, second by Ty. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
Okay, I'm also for the EDC. We also met last week. We had 2 applications, one from the Stanley Wrestling Club in the amount for a grant of $18,294. We made there's lots of discussion, being that they're volunteer, they're nonprofit, that kind of thing. The main, sorry, can I shut that off?
Yeah.
The main request was for the facade of the front of the building. They want to replace the windows that are broken. I know there's at least one pane that's broken. And then they're not double pane and anything like that. So they wanted to repair those, replace those, I guess, I should say. So that's what the request for $18,294. We did move to recommend the approval of taxes, the idea that they're doing repairs to the exterior.
So just one question. EDC, Economic Development Corporation, what is the income, what is the draw because of them having a wrestling room on Main Street?
Not an occupied building with property tax. So that's kind of the things we throw around. And we look at that past history of entities that have received funds, and it isn't always organizations or businesses like retail businesses and such. It's been the Regis Theater, it's been the IMA Aquatic Center, it's been the Park District. You know, there's been a lot of entities and organizations that are nonprofit that are bringing something to the community. We had that discussion. They have about 70 members, and they're not all members of Stanley.
Okay.
So we looked at it as being, one, they're occupying a building on the street, so it's not vacant. Also, they are trying to improve the look of the exterior of the building. Had they asked for funds for the interior, probably didn't think so.
Okay. And they are applying to be 501c3, so that building
They
will come
already
off,
are.
so the building will come off the tax roll.
That-
Because I don't believe
um,
501c3s pay property tax to specials, right?
I don't know if they-
I'm not sure about the property tax itself. I do know that special assessments most generally still apply if,
Right, so like a church, for instance, doesn't pay property tax, but they do pay
they'd still have to pay
specials.
specials.
And being on Main Street, there's
There is currently no
no
specials.
specials.
No. Oh, the District 36.
But
Sorry, the
generally,
water
those
and
would have had
sewer.
to have been cleared
the-
up, wouldn't they? Can they push them forward? So like, I own it, I sell it to Brandy, in 3 years that I haven't paid the specials, can I push them to her to pay? Or do I have to pay them prior to the sale? I guess I don't know.
I would imagine that's your sales agreement.
Yeah, so, okay, answers my questions.
Rather than dropping them off. And that was some of our discussion as well, is we said to be members, but not all of them are Stanley elementary ed kids. There's exterior, from the surrounding towns, they bring their kids into practice. And those parents, while they practice, they're going to our restaurants or our gas stations or whatever. So in a roundabout way, we've got that economic development, we've got some tax dollars coming to that. Hence the reason we recommend it for the
Should.
Is there a second to that motion? Okay, motion and a second's been made. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign.
second application we received was from Stanley Commercial Club. It came out as $1,700 for an hour in Canada. Basically, it's kind of what you guys got in the utility station, you can set up. It does sound and video, so they can video their meetings. Recently, the commercial club has decided they were kind of
kind of teetering on whether or not it's beneficial to continue the commercial club because of the lack of interest, lack of meeting attendance and that kind of thing, volunteers that help you with the different events that they're running. So one of their ideas was to record with this OWL system, record their monthly meetings, and then you could watch business owners, so members would watch them later and might be a live. So they were requesting $17 for the purchase of that OWL.
So how serious are they on teetering to disband? Because I've heard it on, you're not the first person that I heard it from.
When I went to the meeting this month, and I'll be honest with you, I haven't been to very many lately, especially because at the meeting, it's hard for me as a business owner to I can't walk up my doors, these can't. And so it's even myself and my CSR that has to go, and she's not really interested in attending meetings. So it's just, and I don't think that there's a good solution that's not being attended. But when I got to the meeting on Wednesday, someone from the board literally said, well, we just threw that out in the email just to get people to get here. Well, I don't know.
That's a pretty, you can bring it back, at least from me on council, that's a pretty poor thing to put in an email. And then 2 days later, come and ask me to approve $1,700 for a piece of equipment.
And I think that was more of one person's, I could just say that, I don't know with that, but, I mean, I don't, they wanted to get an idea of how serious people are to continue this organization, which I understand, because it's frustrating when you guys do, it, and they're not bored, and you don't know to do anything. It's tough, it's really tough.
I'd move to approve with the caveat that if they disband, we get it. Oh.
So the ABC committee recommended tabling it until next month, at least possibly February, and readdress it then. And ask the commercial club to try other avenues, which I do know for a fact they're gonna try Zoom meetings. And that's difficult because one, they're not recording it, so myself as a business owner, I have to watch it live. If I wanna attend it, I have to watch it live. But if somebody comes through my door, I have to get up and walk away from that meeting,
So
and then I'm lost on that.
why don't they record it? Because you can record Zoom, you just click it in the corner and
I
record.
just cut it. And so I think so our thoughts were that that we try other avenues first and then come back to us and we'll revisit this in a couple months after you try a few other options. And then we did a little bit of listening to after that meeting, after our meeting, to see what you guys do, how your setup is, how it works. We recommend tabling it. We don't recommend denying it, but we definitely did recommend tabling it. So
I like that.
where
That's-
we're at.
And I don't think you need a motion for us to approve. And don't copy ours, because our audio is terrible.
Okay.
When we call into our meetings, don't recommend ours. Well, there's like a 20-second delay in it.
Yeah.
It's
And
awful.
This last meeting I had, they didn't have Zoom set up or Teams or anything like that. All they had was a call-in, and I know there were 2 individuals on the call-in, but it's really hard when you're on a call-in, and you can't see who's talking, and I'm not a person. So I did even recommend, I said, well, talk to city council. So, commercial club, talk to city council, maybe they could move their meetings up here. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are, and you don't have to share that right now, but something maybe council can discuss. Maybe it would be easier, more attended if it was on Main Street. And the purpose of doing it, of the commercial club is to.
Guys like recording it off of, somebody's laptop that they have and then putting it up to YouTube, do you see how many people would view it or look or do anything like that? I mean,
I don't know if there are other avenues other than I personally have one meeting because it was okay, but it was, they need to work on the technology of it. It was hard to hear, the room never was hard to hear. I don't know, so it wasn't really. Whether or not it would draw more business owners or businesses, members to the meetings, I don't know. And that's another reason why we kind of tabled it, like, would this really make a difference? If we gave the money here, we recommended approval of $1,700, would it make a difference in the attendance to your meeting?
I would rather spend $1,700 to improve our own system and let them use it than
For Okay, so.
Give them
I agree.
separate
Can we
thing.
apply to that fund?
Sure. We've got some funds before it rolls over. So that's, we table it to try to get that, try some other avenues first. That's all we discussed, I guess.
Okay, thanks, Brandy.
Thanks. Okay, city lots.
Brandy, gonna stick around and help with this?
Am I on this? No, I'm not on this.
You're on this committee.
Sorry, please, please. Do I need to cut there?
What's that?
Just in case I get something wrong.
Okay.
So our, I guess, subcommittee for what we're looking for the lot met. We know Chad had asked for renderings and trying to figure out what the dirt work process, all of those kinds of things would be. As a group, everybody on that committee had seen the renderings from the Pursuit and saw the imagery from the restaurant and felt like that was sufficient based on level of urgency and the cost to do a full rendering. We also thought that anything in the permitting process to do with Main Street or the lot period would end up through the P&Z administration process and permitting process. So there's no way to do it wrong, I guess, at that point. Unless we were to allow variances that would allow for it to be wrong. The only other thing we thought is it didn't make sense to lease because whoever were to get the lot at that point, as long as they gave the city the first option of buyback, then there's no liability on the city. There's no anything like that for insurance reasons. So in the end, based on renderings we had seen, pictures we had saw, we actually think that we should try and sell it to the Pursuit at fair market value, with taxable market value. Because they shouldn't need to do a bunch of dirt work to have a green space, other than probably remove the trees, which I realize Chad did not want to see the trees removed, but I don't know how you'd make that a green space and not remove them. They're serious about doing something now. The other side is a when. We don't know. And at the end of the day, would have to meet all code and planning and zoning in order to even function through that and through daycare. So as far as a frontage goes, we don't want to see a chain link fence either. We want to see some type of nice frontage on it as a daycare play area, with a secure entrance and exit point so that there's no chance of kids running out on the main street without supervision.
So did you check in to see if they pay taxes, property taxes? Or is that another piece of property that's gonna come off the tax roll?
I guess we did not check into that.
No, I know, but if we can get it in the hands of somebody that does pay taxes instead of just this perpetual circle of 501c3s and everything that rolls around is tax-free, tax exempt. But if it's property owned by the church, then it's,
Well, a lot of our discussion too was even if Rachel purchases, those are your two options basically, which two that are approaching council for the property.
agreed.
So you either lease it and it still is a tax, because the city owns it, or Rachel purchases it and just, she can wait, leave it, probably over the year, because she's trying to get the operation. So how long does it granted, she's still making tax money, but how long before something's easy to put there? And when we talked, the committee talked about, the greenhouse, ideally, that'd be awesome. But I don't know that she's checked into the hoops enough to actually prove.
You have to,
To have your own produce and things like that to use in restaurants.
FDA regulations and all of that.
There is a third option, but exactly, clean the lot up and put some benches in there, but it's just me.
I guess,
It's available, I mean, that's a great idea as well. I think the argument to have, like, devil's advocate is they have got one space with the pergola now. So how much bench space and open lot area is necessary for this?
would we rather have a couple of benches or 30 daycare spots in town?
You know, I think daycare is a great idea personally. The only problem is I don't think it's a great idea on Main Street, but that's one person's opinion. I mean, it's,
And the way I understand it, that green space is used for, similar to recess at the grade school. So it would be used for so many minutes per day of actual activity in that space per the daycare. So, I mean, it wouldn't be a full-time daycare on Main Street. It would be a playground that's open to the public when they're closed, and they're willing to keep the liabilities on.
My understanding is that they do have intentions of having it open to the public. And it's not being utilized for just the daycare kids that are.
I think it's a great,
Maybe we, change their mind on that, absolutely. But I also think it'd be a draw to our Main Street, and we've got the pergola on one side, potentially a restaurant in the middle, and a playground here. You might see more activity on Main Street with parents and their kids.
well, I think it's a great idea to have the daycare. I'm not saying that.
It's not the ideal place for.
No, it isn't. But
I'm around a lot. I mean, we brought up the idea, I talked to Ty, Mitchell about it. He said they've even discussed the lumber part. But for them to put that kind of money into purchasing it, plus tearing it down and having that area to put a playground, they just can't have that building cost. Especially if they put it in the building itself, the church itself. So. And that's why we kind of came up with the idea, if we put it in our purchase agreement, that if they purchase that area, and say 5 years from now, they want to expand, and they want a bigger play area, and they want to purchase the property across the street, they can, then the city has first buyback option at a fair market value. But we figured that kind of use in this purchase agreement situation, if that's what comes in, that's to sell it. Or anyone.
I thank you guys for all the work you've done on this, because I think that's impressive. So.
Thanks for your help, Randy.
So,
I don't know what we do with that at the end of the day.
moving forward, I think we should get done with this. To be fair.
I see one of the issues in the community is the daycare. I'm constantly seeing it on, even the buy-sell trade groups, and seeing people posting, leaving people who are taking their kids to other communities, and then they decide to work here because it's more convenient, and eventually people will move to for it. So, I want to make a motion to sell it to the church with the stipulation that we can release that if, it's either not developed, or if they decide that they want to sell it at fair market value under those stipulations.
What's the value?
We have to make another phone call to find that out.
What's the fair market value?
Yeah, I guess I want to know what we're selling it for before I vote in favor to sell it.
Well,
What's the dollar amount?
We'd have to look at the taxes or what it would be. We'd have to, we still have to, I don't have the number right now, but we can make it the same stipulation like we did for
Haven't decided on that
But I
yet.
mean, we still make the same motion to where we will sell it to them when we have the price
Oh,
and whatnot. So that
Okay, I see what you mean. Yep.
So in the park district, so the land north of the county parking lot, so, they approached the county close us about purchasing the land, because they could use it for parking and whatever they said. We just went to Laura Hanson, she gave us for the last, however many properties, commercial properties, and that's kind of what we missed. That's an idea.
Well, I'd like to see that stipulation be that they cannot sell it to anyone else other than back to the city.
Right. At fair market value, because they will do some upgrades to it, so we can't expect them to give it back to us at the same exact dollar amount. But I think that it's fair to say that, you know, we also won't be price gouged, so. I mean, we definitely get first buyback, that has to be a stipulation in the, you know, purchase agreement. But I don't want to leave either of them waiting on it any longer.
I don't either. I don't think it's right, so.
So that's my motion.
So I'll second Lauren's motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to the motion to sell that lot to the church for the
Fair market value.
fair market value, okay? With stipulations.
Right, with the stipulations that we get the first buyback, first option at buyback at fair market value as well.
All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
And we should do a roll call.
You have to
Yeah,
give somebody an
I
opportunity.
suppose
to
we
vote
should
against it.
on that.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
All right,
Okay, all in favor? Or, all ayes. Any opposed? No opposed? Motion carries.
So the other city lot, the one that we received the letter of intent from Jacob Inge at last month's meeting, you do see I provided you with the property card for the property itself, the city lot. I also had Hannah put together, it's kind of a sales comparison of some other lots similar in size. You'll see, of course, they range, I mean, some, you know, up, there's one at 125,000, some at 40, some at 38. But I mean, you see, there are some that sold at like 7,000 and 6,000.
those other lots that sold at whatever, were they bare lots? Or did they have improvements?
As far as I know, these were just lots. There was no improvements to them.
And the line, or the sheet with the yellow is the line sheet for our city lot, correct?
That's just our property information that we have out of Vanguard. Mayor, do you mind if I comment what you and I discussed?
Please do.
So I guess just kind of, I know, like I said, some of these sales amounts are all over, some extremely high, some lower. You know, just considering this is a lot that the city doesn't plan to do anything with, we obviously don't, you know, there's no taxes coming into it. And I mean, obviously, just the expenses of maintaining it, that I suggested maybe selling it for $5,000.
And from what I understand, he's gonna put improvements on it, so there would be taxable valuation to it other than an empty lot.
Correct.
I guess I feel like that's a fair amount too.
Yeah,
For
I
an
don't
empty,
disagree with you, Lynn.
I'd make a motion to sell that lot to
Jacob.
Jacob Ingy for $5,000.
is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Let's do a roll call on this too.
Lauren? Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Any opposed? No opposed, motion carries.
Mayor, may I make one more comment? Is this something we should maybe have a purchase agreement or something along with? I don't know if we'd have to do it as by quit claim deed or if we'd need to do a warranty deed. I guess, Jordan, if you can chime in on that, please?
I'd probably recommend a quick claim deed, just due to the sales price. Could do a warranty deed, but I thought the city can't warrant title. I don't know how long the city has owned this lot. It's been more than 20 years, and there's probably a little concern of doing a warranty deed. In less than 20 years, do a quick claim deed. If you want a simple purchase agreement, it'd probably make some sense. If that's going to be to you guys, I mean, it's not a substantial amount of money. So I guess if you're not going to, if it hasn't been owned that long, I'd probably, at a bare minimum, just do a quick claim deed and, a very basic purchase agreement.
To answer your question, the city's owned it probably since about 1982.
It
Because
kind
it
of
was
doesn't
part of the
really
Evans edition that
matter.
went back on taxes.
The reason I say that is, something's owned or is in possession for a period of 20 years or more by a party, then you usually clear a lot of title defects, so there's no concern for warranty of the title. Just because adverse possession, if someone possesses property for a period of 20 years, technically they could become the owner. So that's kind of the idea behind it. But either way is fine. Conveying title, I would, if I had to make a recommendation, I'd probably still err on the side of a quick claim deed, simply because it's for the sales price. I don't foresee any issues in title coming down the road. It really probably makes no difference. I'd assume you're going to reserve any minerals that you'd have under that property as well, if you do own them.
That need to be part of the motion, or the reserve minerals.
Should be, yes.
So I would adjust my motion to make sure we maintain the mineral agreements and to do a quick claim deed and simple purchase agreement.
I need a second again.
No, I'd second it.
Yeah.
You agree with, you're agreeing with the amended motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were kind of quiet for a little bit, so I was like. Okay, roll call.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren? Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
All right.
Motion carries unanimously, so.
Doing, who's drawing up the quick claim, Jordan, or
What'd you say, Zach?
just wondering who's doing it, or who's drawing up the quick claim?
I believe that we
Filed.
can make that decision later tonight because I think we'll decide on new legal. Right, Jordan?
If you guys are in that position, absolutely. And like I said, even if you feel comfortable moving forward with somebody, I can stick around and help as needed. So whether it's new person preparing a purchase agreement and a deed, or if you're wanting me to help with that, it makes no difference to me.
Sounds good. Okay, moving on then. Rose Engineering, Donovan? Don't look so excited, Donovan, about.
Tuesday. All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. I just had two things I wanted to talk about. First thing that I want to talk about was the Phase 2 CIP planning. We did submit the clean water SRF questionnaire, and I did fill out the drinking water questionnaire and submitted it to Alin, which has a date to the state due by the 20th of January. So that those two will get you on priority lists for SRF funding, just like we did the last phase. For the scope, we had like 12 and a half blocks, which was the blocks that were removed out of the entire large phase. So I guess at this point, the last time we discussed, we talked about taking this summer off from construction here in the city and looking more at 2024 construction for the Phase 2. That'll take a little bit of time to clear all of the SRF funding requirements that we got to do. I guess I was looking at possibly coming to the next council meeting with a timeline agenda of laying out public input meetings, the design phase, the environmental phase, the loan applications, just kind of laying out how long that'll take to get it to a bidding in the fall of 23. So I guess at this point, I was just maybe looking for direction from the council if they wanted us to move forward with putting that timeline together and a task order to complete that phase and get it ready for bidding. Those questionnaires that were submitted do not tie you guys to anything. You're not obligated to finish it or anything like that, but it just gets you on the priority list.
Well, I think we have to start looking at it, whether it's 2024 construction or what, I don't know, but take into consideration on the northeast corner, and forgive me because I don't know the streets, but it would be Doug Larson's intersection. That's been the Achilles heel for water main breaks up there for the last 5 years. Last winter, I believe there was some of them people were without water for 3 days up there because of it. And I guess as a council person, I don't feel that we're doing due diligence to our infrastructure if we just kick this one down the road again. We're going to take the first one on the chin a little bit. We know that just because it's expensive to do this type of stuff. But I think to be proactive and progressive and forward looking, we got to have an idea of what we're up against. And the only way that we're going to get that is if we start something.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, we're not going to lock in a date or anything. We're just going to start looking at the cost, basically the big picture, starting over just like we did on phase 1, right?
Yeah. Yep.
No, I agree. We do got to keep the ball rolling. I mean, stuff's not getting any younger, so.
We need a motion to put that in place.
What'd you say?
We need a motion to move that forward.
I don't, well, we could. next
Yeah, I'm-
month, Don, would.
Yeah, so like next month,
Approve actually. attached
Yeah.
to it.
I just don't want to start putting anything big together if no one's serious about moving forward with anything.
Essentially what you're
So-
saying is you want to get paid for your work.
Yeah.
Well,
But not for the next.
well, I guess that's,
But not-
that's a
no,
fair,
not-
that's a fair deal.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like we're obligated to start that, whether it's in
I
2
think-
years.
Yeah, I think we have to move forward somehow and at least get have you do that much, the preliminary work to, for the state stuff. And
Did you? I mean, initially when we started this, I mean, I think when we first brought this whole project to the public, we showed 3 phases, right? From the get-go, didn't we? So, yeah, I think we've got to keep on that task.
And that potentially could grow because we
Yeah.
chopped part of phase 1 off.
Yep.
So, we could end up with 4 so that it's,
But that's not really what Donovan's asking
No,
right now.
yeah.
He's asking if he should move forward, getting some of this stuff, because he's gonna have time involved in it. So,
I agree.
Is there any comment on the map that he provided? And I think Don said that Chad had said something about not doing the storm sewer. That would be if there's like a whole block we want to take off or add.
I would be totally opposed to that storm sewer, but
Yeah, the storm drain portion of that the rock in my craw. I don't see the need to run that all the way through like that.
no, I don't either.
So it seemed, I vaguely remember something about, has there ever been an issue with that anywhere along there? Like because that goes all the way up to our office.
Yeah,
It's
that
connected.
storm drain goes
Has
all
there
the
ever
way.
been flooding anywhere in there that would say it's undersized? Because that's part of where it comes from, is that the modeling shows that it's kind of undersized.
Am I
I guess I've
mistaken?
never seen any problem there.
The only time there was any problem in town was behind Our Savior's Free Lutheran Church, and I believe they put in a culvert
They did.
in there,
That wasn't due to that storm.
and that didn't have anything to do with the size. It
And
was
Pine Tree has
no
always
drainage.
had issues up there, just because of the way it was. And back behind the nursing home, but a culvert's been put there which, with all the building that went on at the nursing home, I mean, that changes things drastically when you get a rain or you get a big event, water event like that. And so it was backing up on people's yards back there behind, because it got no place to go. It's not gonna go into the ground. But after that, storm line basically was put in back behind there, it took care of that problem. It's dry back there. So, and there is, and I mean, we could get together and talk about this and go look at it and stuff, but there is a storm drain that runs down through the EOG line or yard, pipe yard. It runs in between the old Kenny Whitmire place or the old Bob Rowe Body Shop there and EOG property. It's pretty much, there's culverts there, but part of it is open. Zach, I mean, it's not all culvert. But where it runs through the EOG yard, it is culvert, and then it runs down into the low area down there. So, and to be honest, that's always handled it. And I think if the grade were probably a little bit different in that ditch out there, we'd see something different there too, so.
Explain that so that they understand what you and I looked at in that ditch with what the fishing wild.
Around that corner
Yeah.
there. So the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers regulates what they call aquatic resources.
Yeah.
Which is wetlands, drainage areas. You can't legally fill in an aquatic resource without mitigating them or paying credits to other entities such as Ducks Unlimited. So I know a lot of people had commented previously on the ditch on Highway 8 around that corner. I was holding water. the environmentalists delineated that as an aquatic resource.
That could be changed. I mean, you can apply to change that. I mean, I worked for the Corps, so I know that.
Right, and
We did
we've-
change that in
we've-
certain
we've
areas.
We've done projects where we've tried challenging their rule or applied to challenging their rule. And what it did was delay the project like 2 years.
I don't think you can challenge their rule. I think you can ask for a referendum on their rule. I had it, we did it actually in Devil's Lake. When I worked for the Corps of Engineers, we had actually okayed just about the same thing. So I know they will do it from time to time, so.
Yeah, and you can mitigate, you can get a bank and you can mitigate, or you can pay credits. And I will say that the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers ruling is always changing.
It is. I could tell you a lot of stories about that. But, I mean, so it's not set in stone that it would never change. Because I think it could be made to change. Even if it wasn't, maybe there would be standing water there, some. But crossing number 8 there, to go down behind there where the natural flow always was, works. So I guess I see no reason to change that. Especially with an expensive drain system running blocks and blocks. To me, that doesn't make sense, but.
So George was asking, do you need a motion to approve him, or is that bring it back next? And then you said something, Zach, bring it back next month, and then that's when we act on it?
Typically, Rose doesn't get paid to prepare the task order
Okay,
that allows you to get paid, you know, and you put together it's like putting together a proposal to do the work.
all right.
You know, so
understand
we
that
don't
now.
have to approve what Donovan's gonna do in the next month, because Rose is not gonna charge the city for it. But will be kind of the whole point of what he brings back next month is a task order to do a larger scale of work.
Okay. That's fair.
And this, like, I will just say, like, this phase of it, you know, can change, but when we get to the environmental document, that if we go with the SRF funding, you have to do an environmental document that gets sent to the DEQ and they approve it. And that basically creates an area that you studied. If you expand that, it's gonna get, you have to run another public input meeting, which is another 30-day process. So what Zach was kind of getting at was, hopefully we can nail down the scope and not expand. I mean, we can expand, but just understand that that's going to be
Well, it costs money to.
potential delays. Okay, if there's no other conversation on that, I'll move on to the ND8 shared path. The light fixtures still are not installed and still have not been shipped. There's still delays in there. The last letter that I got from the contractor said that it was going to be the first of the year. They're going to get here when they get here, I guess. I don't think they're going to get here the first of the year. But
Even if they are, how are they gonna get them installed if they put in?
yeah, they told me it would take them like 4 days, but with the weather, it might take them like a week and a half.
All the poles are set, it's just the
Put the light
But
fixture
still, I
on,
mean-
turn them on.
Weather is a factor no matter what, so.
And then, so I just wanted to give a quick update on that. So that's still going on. And then the other thing is I finally got all the information from the contractor for that sanitary sewer force main that they were searching for and the insulation board that the city took possession of. So what I had to do is, prepare a change order, which removed the installation of the insulation board from the contract, but added that work that they took to explore and search for that, and then also the invoice cost of that insulation board that the city took hold of. So at the end there, on the attachments, there's a change order. That exploration and the insulation board was roughly $6,200. So that gets added to the contract, but 10,600 of actually putting that insulation board into the ground gets removed. So the net change order is roughly a negative $4,300. That's was all city cost because it was outside of the right of way for city utilities.
So basically it costs us $6,500 or something like that.
Yeah. Yep.
For them to look for a pipe.
And then, yeah, and then you guys took possession of that insulation board.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the change order?
So moved.
Okay, there's motion and a second to approve the change order for that sanitary sewer force main. All in favor signify by saying aye.
All right.
Same sign opposed. Motion carries.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. That's all I had. If no one has any further questions.
Nope, I'm good.
Thank you.
Montreal County contract and resolution for Stanley Airport.
Nope,
Oh.
the DOT progress bills.
Yeah, sorry.
So there's two different progress bills.
Yep.
The first one would be the highway safety improvement
Excuse me.
plan that was done. This would be the final billing, well, the one and only billing we get. It'd be in the amount of $4,507.95. I guess I don't know if we should do these separately, if we can do them together. They're both going to the DOT, so. The other one would be for the shared use path, and that amount is $83,736.32.
Move to approve both.
Motion's been made to approve both the $83,000 and the $4,500 one.
Second.
And there's a second made by George. Roll call vote.
Lauren? Zach?
Abstain.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
All right.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, Montreal County contract and resolution for Stanley Airport.
This is actually something that's done every 4 years, and I think it goes back to like 19 something, maybe even later than that. Yeah, back to like the 70s. So this is money that the
Why do
county
you make
actually,
it sound like that's so long ago?
well, you know,
Mary, it isn't that long, is it?
but anyway, so this is obviously the county also contributes to all the airports within the county. So this is just the resolution and contract that's required, and like I said, it's done every 4 years. So we'll need to do them separately. So if we want to do the contract first,
Sure.
Ty, was that a motion?
That would be a motion. I'm just trying to get to the right page here, so I word it right. But I
Okay.
move to approve the contract for the Stanley Airport Authority as stated by Auditor Steen.
Motion's been made and a second to approve the contract. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed.
And then do you need a resolution approval as well?
Yes.
Okay, and then I will also move to approve the resolution as stated on the paperwork I have before me for the amount, or for the Stanley Airport Authority.
And we do need to do roll call on this one.
Okay, motion's been made, a second, roll call.
Lauren? Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
All right.
Motion carries.
She got one.
So those were the two, right?
Correct.
Okay. P and Z permit fees resolution.
So the only thing that was off that we kind of talked about was that the variance fee would be zero for residential, but they would be 1 for commercial one, so that if the contractor came in, that they would put a lot on them. So that's the only thing on this that I see that's probably wouldn't change for it.
Okay, so say again now in regards to the variance?
Yep, it was proposed for a zero variance for residential, but to do 1 for commercial.
Okay, so would we keep that at the same fee as we previously had, the $100? Okay, so if you guys want to just approve it that way, I can make the change.
I'll make a motion to approve with that.
Second.
Motion's been made, second's been made. I also want to roll call vote on this.
Okay, Lauren?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
All right.
Motion carried. Year-end transfers.
Okay, so you will see I provided you with a list of end of year transfers. First one obviously would be the overage amount in the EDC. I don't have a set amount because obviously there'll be city sales tax that'll come in for December, which I figure that out, before I do end of year. Because the balance has to be at 150,000. 200,000 from the general to the municipal highway fund. And then from the general, which is 20% of the city's share for special assessments. So there'd be 11,541 to District 36, 9172 to 37, 559.97, to District 38, 2469 to District 39, 3216 to District 41, 4148 to District 42, 15,936 to District 43, and 9383 to District 47. And then also the next two would be part of when we increase the base rates. This is based off of 2021, because obviously I didn't have, amounts yet for 2002, so we'll always be a year behind when we make the transfer. So you'll also see I attached the sheet of all of from the base rate based off the number of accounts for the whole year for 2021. And then, of course, by North Dakota Century Code, though, you're only allowed to transfer 20% of your gross receipts. So based off of that, and obviously, like with the water, we can actually do the full amount that was brought in or that we received from that additional $10, which was $110,490. But for the sewer, based off of our gross receipts for 2021, we'd only be able to transfer $75,943.01. So those would be from the water operating and the sewer operating to the city sales / infrastructure fund. And the last two, you'll see I have question marks behind because I know this was kind of something that was discussed and was put in the budget previously to transfer these amounts, $740,445 from the general, these are funds that were remaining from our surge funds. So that, so the $740,445 to the capital improvement project water and sewer fund, and $1,125,595 to the capital improvement street fund. This would then take care of what's remaining of surge funds, because you'll see we received, this money was allocated back in March of 2015. So I think that's kind of why initially it had been put in the budget, so we could just clear up these funds and we no longer have them, you know, outstanding.
Yeah, because I believe surge funds back in the day when they were paid out, it was for that exact reason, to help cities build their infrastructure and maintain it. And to just have it sitting in that general account it's open to being able to be used in several different facets, if you will. By getting it into these capital improvement project funds, now it's truly ear take for that project, so that we have no way to spend it on anything but what it was initially intended for.
Correct.
So I agree with that. I would make a motion to approve those transfers.
Okay, the motion's been made in a second. There again, I'd just as soon have a roll call vote.
Lauren? Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Okay. Motion carries.
Okay, next item, we just need to, so you see I provided you with the 2023 proposed salaries, which were already obviously figured into the budget, had been figured into the budget, so we just need a motion to approve the salaries.
So moved.
Motion's been made to approve the salaries. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have a quick question on here. When we're looking at the hourly rate, for the officers, is that done on the 171 hours, or is that done on 160?
The hourly is based off of what their salary is.
Okay, but if they're required to work the different amount of hours in their
So I think I can answer that. When we talked about that, when we came up with that, we were not aware that there was 171 hours. We were figuring it on 2,080 hours, a 40-hour work week for 52 weeks a year, 2,080 hours. That's where those numbers were derived from.
so then that would be incorrect on the hourly levels for
Yeah, essentially what that number is if you just divide back 2,080 into, or their annual salary by 2,080, that gives you that number. So what you're saying is instead of having the 40-hour work week, which is 160 hours per month, they're gonna have 143, so there's an additional 12 hours a week per month.
overtime on, is that hourly rate?
I believe so.
Would that be corrected?
Okay, so obviously they have to work up to that they have to have at least 160 hours. Okay, so anything from the 160 to 171, if they have anything over that 160, they get it at straight pay, which would be that hourly rate. Anything over the 171 would be time and a half of that hourly rate. And of course, they have to be hours worked though. So like there's a holiday figured in, you know, they're not getting time and a half for that.
Okay, I guess I just kind of heard it differently from, the Appleton, the labor courts, that it wasn't, a traditional person is looked at a 40-hour work week, whereas an officer is looked at in a completely different way. So we're bringing up only a traditional 40 would be.
And I guess maybe this is something that needs to be maybe further discussed, but I mean, when this was done, because everybody is paid on a salary. That is how we've always been paid, is based on a salary amount. Yeah, granted, the hourly is listed, but unless you have any actual, either overtime or just even regular overtime, over your regular hours, they're not being paid directly by an hourly rate. They get a salary amount.
Right, their paycheck does not vary until they hit 171 hours or 41 hours.
Right, and then it would pull off of that hourly rate, that was listed, right?
Right, so this hourly rate that you see is gonna be accurate to the 2,080 hours. Now, we did visit on the employment committee on that exact same scenario, not talking about the budget number, but the 171 versus the 160. And so we did come to the consensus there that as soon as we get our new legal, we've got a raft of questions that we're just gonna shoot right over there and get them that answer that you're asking for right now. So technically, that number probably could change by some cents, and actually in my mind, what I'm envisioning is that it potentially could look less per hour if you factored in 43 hours per week. This number that you're seeing as an hourly rate would go down because the salary number, the annual wage that they paid, that we agreed to when, whether it was when they hired or when through wage negotiating, that's just the math. We use 2080 versus what 43 would be. So, and that is one of our first questions that is going to get pushed over to our new legal. I think I answered it right. Yep.
Okay, there was a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Lauren?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ty?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Chad?
Aye.
Okay, Planning and Zoning Commission and County Planning and Zoning Board appointments.
Okay, so, Planning and Zoning Commission, obviously Todd kind of already touched on that. And yes, Blair Hamilton has agreed that he'd be willing to serve a term if the council so wishes to appoint him. And then you also see the email I had in there from Melissa on the County Planning and Zoning that, we will have to appoint somebody to their board, to replace Fritz. Because it does have to be 2 council members.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve Blair Hamilton's appointment to our Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Any discussion on that? I should have asked. Okay, motion carries. Now in the county, what are they asking for?
So we always, since we're in the county seat, we'd have to have 2 council members, and I believe, Zach, is that you that currently?
Yep.
Zach currently serves on it, and obviously Fritz had served on it. But since he is no longer mayor or a city council member, we do have to have an appointment of a new council member or the mayor himself.
Okay,
The only thing tricky about it is that it's on the last Monday of the month. So it's from 8:30 till when you're done, which might be noon, but usually more like maybe 10 o'clock. So it's just, you gotta be able to take a Monday morning off, which isn't necessarily the best timing for everybody, but
Yeah, Monday mornings in my world will not work.
you can, they have it on Zoom, so that is,
Remote in.
yeah, you can remote in.
I'd move to appoint, or is your term up?
No.
So you're still good. So is there Zach, you probably can answer this. If we have one appointed and they can't make it, can you have them, can they ask one of us to sit in their place? So that we are represented to what the county's
Yeah.
asking.
I don't know if I know the answer. None of the other seats have like an alternate that ever
Yeah,
fills
that's what I
in.
was-
How many seats are there on them?
Oh, geez, there's much. So it's the whole county, so it's, and I can't even tell you exactly what their, yeah. So like Newtown has people, then there's county at large and city and nine, yeah.
George, are you interested in that?
I'd have to see if I can do it through workforce. but yeah.
We
I
did
can't.
just,
I can't.
we did just get done with a complete zoning rewrite. It's kind of good to be done. That took a lot of time, especially, I wasn't on the committee, but especially from the committee that worked on it. We've also made a few, kind of administrative changes, so some things can be processed a little faster, don't have to become before the whole, commission, so meetings have been going a little faster. We approve a lot of water, like just like we just did for that pump.
Yeah.
All of them go through planning and zoning. That's probably the biggest thing, but then of course it's plats and zoning things too.
Well, it's an appointment by you, so
Well, I guess, if George is interested,
If you just give me a day or two to make sure I can do it through workforce.
okay?
they need to know by December 27th or prior, a day or two prior, according to this letter, so that. So,
Or, I mean, Lauren? I know you were trying to
she's
turn her
biting on
away.
her tongue, I've been watching her.
I know. If George isn't able to, are you able to?
I'm on so many things right now.
I know, it's a stretch, but, so Zach, you're never getting off.
And I will throw this caveat, I would talk to my supervisor and see if that's why I was asking if it could be two of us, because occasionally I'm not gonna be able to be there, we just know that, right? But with it being county government, that's one of the things, the ESG world that we live in, that the oil companies are.
Well, why don't you two guys check on your work and see? And let me know.
Okay.
And if you guys can't do it, we're gonna name Lauren.
Okay, sounds like a deal. Moving right along.
Moving right along. Resignation.
Obviously, you all see the resignation letter from Hannah, our city assessor. She is, I believe, yes, she includes in there that she's actually going to accept a position at the county tax director's office. But you do see that they also said she's had discussions with like Lori Hansen up at the county's tax director's office. And they said they would try to, help us out, especially since tax equalization coming up in April, and there's stuff that will have to be done in February, which I'm not certified to do, and I don't know how to do any of that either, but I guess for now, we just need to make a motion to accept the resignation, and I guess I don't know if we can just include in the same motion you'll see I included a notice. Sorry, I forgot to print off the job description we had. But, and if you want, I can email that to you guys tomorrow. But if we can proceed with advertising the position.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept Hannah's
So moved.
and
Advertise for that,
advertise for
that
her
position.
position?
Second.
Okay.
Also in that advertise for position, if you could reach out to Indeed again, put it on there and also LinkedIn so that we can cover a little broader.
Okay.
Do you advertise in League of Cities for that too?
So, yep, they, I actually didn't realize they did because you actually have to go to the bottom and that's where they have the job opportunities. But I mean, if you looked at the top, that's like when you guys mentioned and I'm looking, I'm like, I've never seen any jobs advertised on here, but yeah. So it's on the bottom of the website and it says job opportunities. So it is on there.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, gaming permit.
Do we need to vote on Doug Larson's resignation? Did we accept his?
I don't think we do,
I
but
don't know if we do or not.
I don't know that he resigned. He just asked if not.
Okay.
He's not gonna run again.
Want to be
Just more or less,
operating.
we just asked if he was gonna be willing to serve another term. And he wrote up something just stating that he was not gonna be seeking reappointment, so.
Okay.
okay. What'd you say, Lauren?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve the gaming permit.
Okay,
Second.
all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Employment Committee. Linda is the head of that and she's absent tonight.
I have the notes.
Okay,
So on the employment committee, probably our longest portion of the discussion was our legal representation. We did receive 2 proposals. And the employment committee, I'm going to read her writing here, so, or her notes, I mean. The employment committee had discussion and the recommendation is to go with Pringle Herringstead Council out of Minot. There was one little catch in their deal. They said right in their proposal that they would not be able to attend all city council meetings. Let's see if I can find it here. Just says legal counsel will not regularly attend city council meetings. Legal counsel will attend city council meetings on an as-needed basis to discuss ongoing legal issues. Legal counsel will be placed at the front of the agenda and would be dismissed from any city council meeting attended after discussing any ongoing legal issues. I did try to contact Ryan Sandberg at the request of Linda to talk about that, and I have not been able to get a hold of him yet. That was the one concern that we did have with them. The pros to it were this council comes with 11 lawyers and their staff that we have accessible to us at, at our will within their business hours. I mean, it's not call them at 10 o'clock at night and, things of that nature, but we would be assigned legal representation, and it was, let me find that. Was Deborah Hofferth and Ryan Sandberg. It's $350 per billed hour, or per hour billed in increments of 1/10 of an hour. For the time of Deborah Hofferth and Ryan Sandberg at $250 per hour billed in increments of 1/10. Of an hour for the time of Megan Hold. What am I missing, Zach?
Probably the pros were that they had significant staff to address our concerns. The other option was just, I believe, a one-person law firm. And we didn't know if that would have enough experience to draw from for what we would want.
And the other law firm was, and I'm probably gonna say this name wrong, but it was Ramage Geltel Law Firm out of Williston. They're at $165 an hour plus travel, and intends to travel to Stanley for council meetings. These both would be covering the municipal court hearings and any other scheduled meetings with the president or where their presence was necessary. And also any of the court, whether it's city court or district court, if they're required to be there on our behalf or the police department's support.
Well, I think approving one of these without knowing what the answer is going to be from Ryan Sandberg would be making a mistake. Because I think that's one of the main issues is we want somebody sitting here at the meeting.
For the fact that we just want to leave, beforehand, we can't even ask a question, like, when it comes to a purchase agreement, like you were able to 4 weeks ago, I think that was, and just because they have a bigger staff, doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get all of that time, you need bigger staff, more time from your part, so it's not to say that just because they have some people on their staff that will be available to us all the time. If they have, 100 times the amount, like somebody who has 1 or 2 people.
I think the availability on a day-to-day basis through whether it be email or phone calls, we'll have that access. It's said right in Pringle's proposal that I don't believe Linda has that. But it said, essentially what it said was call and leave a message if we don't answer, or best case or best method is emails. We will answer them emails within 24 hours, most of the time sooner, was essentially how it was worded in here. So
In addition to the accessibility, I don't know, I guess if I can predict which one would be better for sure. I just thought more from a experience standpoint. For instance, if you're going into like a developer's agreement, in my opinion, if you haven't been through the whole process of figuring out what parts of those agreements work and don't work, as when they're actually tested, not just writing one as an exercise, that you're not going to be able to give the best answers. And I think if you've got 11 people on staff that have got a variety of experience and longer years of experience, have better odds of providing the right answers.
I agree with
than
that.
one person.
I'd make the motion to approve Pringle here instead as our attorney. And we're just gonna have to roll the dice, I think, on the attendance. I don't know that you're gonna get anyone to sit here every time we have a meeting. Look how well it's worked for the last 6 months.
Well,
No
motion's
offense,
been made.
Jordan,
Is there
I'm
a
just
second?
saying, I just don't think that that's commonplace anymore.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
Discussion. Any further discussion?
The question's pending for them then, or just if they can attend, or do you do that phone, or what's the pending question for that?
What would you be willing, what is the most that you would be willing to attend? Like every other month in person, quarterly in person, always on the phone, always, maybe we have to reestablish our communication here and go with a team type setup to where they can video it or a Zoom type, which to Zach's point earlier would enhance our general meetings too, to have better conferencing.
Do you within 24 hours, or are you guys still waiting to hear from them?
I just called him today on it.
I mean, we need legal counsel, because everyone wants to get on part ways, so. We've got to kind of get somebody who's not somebody, if it doesn't work with that, I guess we start the process all over again.
Yeah, and here, and here's the deal. There's no contract, it's not for 1 year, 2 years, 8 years. We try them, if in 60 days, 90 days, we don't like them, it's not working. Call this gal up and say, hey, it's still open? And the experience and seeing some of the things that's happened in the past with the messes that we have, I think, in my opinion, you're better off rolling the dice on the experience and hoping you can get them here when you can. And I think it says right in their letter, if it's requested, they're gonna come. Now, if we ask them to come just in case we have a question, maybe not.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
We'll have to call
Think?
them. Yeah.
Lauren,
Aye.
Zach.
Aye.
Ty.
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right.
Motion carries. We will try them.
Do
With
you
that,
want Lynn to call him or do you want me to call him? Ryan.
well, you've been dealing with them, so. With that said, we're gonna take a short adjournment. We'll reconvene at 8:45.
That's all right. I got it. I'm not gonna go off that door right there. You guys are gonna get one little thing back on it.
I appreciate
Okay, we'll call the meeting back in order. Police report.
No, I'm not done.
Yes. Oh, yes, you were. Okay, Chad.
All right, so the next thing at the employment committee was request to carry over vacation hours. Right now, our policy states that we can carry over 96 hours. There's a handful of employees that had more than that. The majority of them fell in the public works department. And we talked about it at length. Our public works department this year was not offered much of an opportunity to take vacation time due to the two employees that were gone for extended periods of time. So we felt it wasn't fair to just throw their vacation hours in the garbage and be done with it. So what the employment committee recommends is to allow the carryover this year for all employees that have over 96 hours. The caveat to it is that by 12/31 of 23, any hours over 96 will be lost. So this is the cleanup year, 2023. Vacation time has to be cleaned up. And once they get to 96 hours, they're fine. But anything over that is going to be forfeited. This is 3 years in a row now that we've allowed this to carry over. COVID was the beginning of the monster, and this past year wasn't fun for anybody. So, but at the end of 23, it's 96 hours, and anything over it is lost. I don't know if we need a motion to approve that. I think we do because we are temporarily changing policy on that. So we're amending policy, not changing it.
Yes, I think we should have a motion on it.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And the final piece that we have is our performance premiums for 2022, and that was at $150 for part-time help and $300 for full-time help. Falls right along with exactly what we did in 2021. Yep.
I'll make a motion on the performance premium.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign, opposed.
That's the employment committee.
Police report.
Good evening. So the first thing that during the police committee that was brought up that we want to kind of get guidance from the rest of the council is moving forward with the SRO. I sent the MOU over to Jordan. He reviewed it, said everything looked okay on our end as far as the legal aspect of it. So I'm just looking for guidance whether or not to move forward with starting to get signatures on that.
Signatures of,
as far as like the year-to-year contract
from a officer?
from the chief of police, a member from the school board, and then the mayor as well.
Yeah, I guess I thought that the council last month was on board with the SRO and it hinged on Stanley
School
Public
board.
School System supporting it at the, whatever you guys had proposed.
This is like the actual contract to get signed, we use the report, so this would just be, solidifying that, we have to wait for Jordan to take over.
Okay.
All of a sudden, and that's not, for now, this is the, make sure that everybody's signed.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, just a question. So wages, what's being split between the city and the school, all of that, none of that's still,
No, that's all in there,
okay,
that's what that is.
okay.
I talked with the school today, Mrs. Pulver and Mr. Holt. They do have a school board meeting tomorrow. They still have questions, some of the board members. So they asked me to be present for that to see if I can try and answer some of those questions. Their main concerns were who was going to handle as far as holiday pay, or if they had events such as basketball games, football games, things like that, how that was going to be handled. One of the things that we kind of suggested was if they were going to request somebody for an after-school event, that we would just shift the SRO's shift to cover that, but still be within what their regular day was gonna be. It would just shift when they would start and when they would end. As far as holiday, I would suggest that we just, if the school's out there, they don't work. It'd be the easiest way to alleviate that problem.
And with that, would they still maintain a full-time status as far as hours or?
Yeah.
Would it be too much to ask one of the police committee people to attend that same school board with you so that you have?
Yeah, that's fine. It'll be tomorrow. I just found out about it today.
Okay. I can go through it, make that happen.
Then I guess with that being said, is there anything that you guys would like me to bring up there to see if we can get clarification on, or?
Has it been clearly stated that the SRO works for you in the city of Stanley?
Yep, and I'm gonna touch base on that again tomorrow during that meeting as well.
That is my main concern.
At the committee, we made that clear too, that if the school has a problem with it, then we have no problem just stepping back and saying that it doesn't happen. Because they have to understand that it's an officer first. And
It's our guy, yeah.
he's the chief, so I think that'll be made clear
Wow.
tomorrow as well. And
Okay.
I complete understanding of that.
Then I'm very happy with it.
Okay.
Move to, I think there's a motion in a second already to approve those signatures.
Yeah, and I'd like a roll call vote.
Okay, Lauren,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Ty,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Chad.
All right,
Okay, motion carries.
Then also we had discussed starting to hold interviews for that position at the start of the year, the new year. So far, we only have one application. I do have the job posted on the North Dakota Post Board site. So any officer that's certified in the state or other states will have access to that and see it, so they can put in applications as well. We did discuss the possibility of updating our older vehicles in the fleet. What it came down to was we were going to look at redecaling the light vehicles in the fleet, our 2016 vehicles, after the next year's budget takes effect and we review that. So I'll be updating the cosmetics on those because right now they are cracked and they don't look the greatest. We did have Lieutenant Jenkins completed his method of instructor training. So now he is a certified instructor in the state of North Dakota. With that, I believe it's February, he's slotted to do the firearms instructor. So then we'll have our own in-house firearm instructor so that we can get more qualifications and firearms training throughout the year. I also was sent to a domestic violence and sexual abuse conference on behalf of the domestic violence program here as a representative. So I attended a 2-day training for that. And I believe that's pretty much it. You got anything to add?
Okay. Appreciate your report. Okay. We should probably have
I'll
a,
move to accept the police
Yeah.
report.
yeah,
Ty.
Second.
all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay. Public Works report.
Okay, so we had one item that came in, actually two, but the one we were already aware of, it was a bid to fix the trail around the cell 3 at the lagoon. We're still currently waiting on the second bid. It's not gonna get fixed now till spring anyway, so I'll probably call and ask one more time over there. If not, we'll move forward with the one that we got. The one item that is new to us is the snow blower for the self-propelled snow blower that the city has that cleans our sidewalks, if you will, so it would be like Sixth Avenue and now the walking path, the trail, whatever you want to call it. The impellers and the auger part of the snow blower looks to me like completely just wore out and has fell apart. So what the two proposals that they put forth were, one is to repair it, and that comes at a cost of roughly $2,600, $2394.33, or just to replace it with a brand new piece of equipment. The snow blower itself now, not the whole thing. And that comes in at a price of $5,500. So along with fixing it, not fixing it is just the auger and the impeller. That's not the lifting arm. That's not any of that. Where the new blower will come all brand new for another $2,500. I have no idea how long.
Well, it's been my experience, every time you fix an auger or something like that, the rest of it goes to hell, so.
And the augers, like the auger itself is probably, doesn't get replaced. It's all the bearings in the gearbox that you reuse that auger. Well, augers wear out. The flightings wear down. They're not as efficient as what the new one would be. So the recommendation from myself, I did not report this to the committee, but the recommendation would be to buy the new blower unit for the tractor. The tractor's still fine.
Motion.
Okay, motion's been made by Lauren,
I'll second.
seconded by George. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
One thing I'd just like to bring up, this probably doesn't change our decision, but last week at the airport board meeting, we talked about potentially selling snow blower there. It's one of the big ones that mounts on a payloader, so that would be a different setup, but so we probably could still go ahead with this, but just FYI, if the city's interested, there might be a pretty decent one available there.
And I think we currently own one of them, don't we? And I don't know the condition of that. We can ask, I'll ask Tuffy and Gene and Brady. It's on the front of a little John Deere. Just it is a snow blower. I mean, I don't know that. Yeah, I think they have a broom attachment for it and a snow blower. So.
Okay, motion and second have been made. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign opposed. Okay. Motion carries. Attorney updates.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. I guess the probably primary update I would provide to you is pertaining to the airport and the negotiation process status relating to the Johnson property. Greg Johnson and myself have had a couple of conversations with Roger Simbaluk. We have prepared some initial documentation or gathered some initial documentation and information and presented it to him pertaining to the Crosswind runway, what lots or property, what Johnson property lots would likely be affected by the acquisition or the need to acquire some of the Johnson property. And Roger Simbaluk, seemed to indicate that he believes he would at least be able to make a recommendation to the Johnson family to make some sort of an arrangement as it relates to, conveying the property in exchange for taking over the special assessments. There's a 40-acre parcel that the city is really undoubtedly probably going to end up having to take. Now, this is all contingent on environmental impact studies, not impact studies, but environmental assessments of those properties to make sure that it will be in compliance with FAA regulations. But with that being said, I mean, in all likelihood, this 40-acre parcel would be the parcel that the city would need to acquire, not the city, I'm sorry, the airport authority would need to acquire. We had proposed discussing, releasing or foregoing, taking over the special assessments on this parcel in exchange for the acquisition. And Roger was going to review this and talk with the Johnson family. He did mention there are a couple parcels on the north side of that Johnson property where they've been platted and subdivided. He thought on the east side of that might be just adjacent to the that 40-acre parcel on the north side of it, that he thought maybe some of those lots might not be that great or might not be developable. So he had made mention about possibly considering taking those two, but there's no formal gist of the conversation and the presentation tonight. As there are no formal terms, Roger and Greg were actually going to both be down in Arizona here this week, and I think they were getting together. Neither of them have reached out to me yet at this point, but as I told Lynn here earlier today, one of the benefits that the city is going to be willing to support this, which it sounds like you obviously are, but moving forward with it, if you do, we could strike some type of an arrangement with the Johnsons as far as simply taking over those special assessments, not as if the city has to write a large check for, $100,000 or $200,000. You would just simply be taking over those payments. Those bond payments, realistically, should be, as far as interest rates purposes go, probably got about the lowest interest rate on bonds, when that special assessment or close to it those bonds would have been approved and issued. So there are some benefits to it. The formal offer hasn't been quite finalized amongst the parties, and we're still trying to work through it. That's the synopsis that relates to the airport. And now that you guys have made a motion to retain new counsel, I would state that it's been a pleasure working with you guys. I've enjoyed working with you guys. I wish circumstances would be different to allow that relationship to continue. It is what it is, and I will do whatever you guys need me to do on this airport project. I should pose that question to you guys on how you want to handle that. Do you want me to stay on as the Airport Authorities Council, or maybe what I should ask you guys to do is talk to Greg or other members of the Airport Authority and discuss what you guys think is best for the city and the Airport Authority. I know you're separate entities, yet you're very interrelated. If you want me to stick around and do that, I don't have a problem doing it. But if you wanted to go with Pringle or a different attorney to represent the authority, that's okay too.
I guess I feel, Jordan, that we should probably retain you for that airport authority and until that's a done deal. What do the rest of you guys think?
I don't have any opposition to it. I'd maybe ask for Greg's input on that. I don't know if, what all has been said between Roger and Jordan, and if they've already got things they're discussing, we don't necessarily want to stop that, but we do probably need to be aware that if we keep Jordan on this, if it's pending environmental issues, it's not going to get done quickly. I mean, if there's going to be it might drag on for a year or more before the environmental clearances are actually done, if that has to be done first. So.
There's potentially a handoff method that we can use too, where Jordan could just debrief the new just to catch them up to speed. And I'm guessing you guys do that frequently anyway. Jordan, just update and say, this is what we've done, this is where we're at.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was only going to be one of my additional comments is that, you know, I know several of the attorneys that couldn't go. I graduated with one of them. I was friends with her and her husband, still am. But the whole point I'm getting at is I will, you know, whatever questions they may have, they can phone up and call me if they need to. I'm not, you know, like I told you before, I'm not slamming the door in your guys' face or the new attorney's face and say, figure it out. I'll be available for questions. I'll be available to share information, whatever they're going to want as far as gathering files for and on behalf of you guys. I'll be happy to do what we have electronically, and frankly, physically, it's probably going to be more electronically. And if there is a, you know, a debriefing on matters, then I will be happy to participate in that.
I think that's the right way to go. Just
Well, we can.
share your notes, and, you know, I've been greatly appreciated that you're willing to take calls and questions and whatever until we hit the ground running again.
I just hate to see, you know, I just don't want to see the ball dropped on it, so, on anything that we've got going on, so.
Thanks, Jordan.
You bet.
Okay, council concerns.
So in regards to the airport and the land that they'll acquire from us, acquiring it from the Johnsons, I guess my
main concern is that I know that they had said that they'll only use, you know, a small amount of those acres. Like if we acquire 40, they would probably only need 10, depending on where it is. We have to acquire the total amount. That way they can do the assessment across. And I know he said we didn't make a comment, but I think that we should get whatever they're not using deeded back to us. I think that that's still prime real estate right there in the front. And I don't see why the rest wouldn't come back to the city. I don't see why we would leave that giant chunk with the airport when it's commercial real estate right there and it's a developed road, why we would just let the whole thing go. I think that once they establish what is needed for their crosswind, whether it be, you know, whatever area, that the rest should come back to the city for us to, maybe if a developer wants it at a different point, then we would have the land and we can do with what we see best to get it back on some type of tax roll and, you know, grow the community if we ever get a chance to.
I don't think that's off the table at all. I think right now that, you know, there hasn't really been anything specific said at the airport board anyway about trying to keep the whole thing. It's more been, we think in order to get it initially, it's probably that whole south chunk, all or nothing,
Right.
you know.
And that's what they didn't make it seem like we have to keep it all. They had just said that, you know, I said on a couple of the other boards that they have presented to, so I've heard it a few times what they've said, and like it was discussed that they would just acquire the whole lot, and it wasn't said that the city required any of it back. And I'm thinking we should have that stipulation in there.
Well, when I talked to Greg had told me basically that they wanted just what they needed. The rest of it, they weren't interested in.
Right.
So,
So I'm hoping that when we do the
But
purchase, when
he-
we make the deal, that we
but
can.
he said the
include
same
that.
thing as what you just got done saying, is that you're gonna end up getting the whole thing or nothing, you know? So,
For two reasons. One, I think that's gonna be part of the deal with Johnson's. They're gonna wanna give us the whole thing or nothing. Secondly, we don't know exactly what we need, and I think that's the only tricky part to what you're saying is we can say we want it back, we just can't say what it is as far as like what acreage. or
Exactly,
whatever.
yep.
Yeah, I think and I'm guessing the airport strictly is only gonna want what they need, and they're gonna be more than happy to deed back that excess once some parameters are set and I agree with you. I think we can put that into the deal with the airport authority, and they're gonna all be happy to sign on. They're not in the business of owning land either.
Especially not, I mean, it just about all the airport can do with it is, maybe lease to somebody to hay it or something, but that doesn't make sense when it's potentially commercial.
Right, and the city could then lease it to hay it and get some of it. So I just think that maybe having that in there benefits us.
I think that's smart to
I
add.
make a quick comment.
Absolutely.
My perception, guys, was that the city would actually probably take ownership of this while you're doing your environmental assessment. Probably then subdivide out the area of property that would need to go to the airport authority and convey that down the road. And in the interim, you would just be the owner of the property.
That makes sense.
Didn't the airport have to own the
Cities.
whole bit though, to get that assessment done, or it's fine if the city possesses it? So I thought it was my understanding that they have to own it to have that assessment done. Can they do it if we don't?
Well, as long as the assessment is done, I don't think it's necessarily matters whose hands it's in.
Yeah, that's basically it. Lots of times, all those environmental studies need to occur prior to any land acquisition by the airport authority anyway, to be honest with you. So when you're looking at complying with federal grant provisions, federal grant provision, it's usually generally a requirement. I mean, that's one of the steps of the land acquisition process. My thought on all this was that if that's going to be the case, then put it in the city's name, do your studies, and you can, once you get your studies back, you can transfer whatever needed over into the airport authority.
Either way, it'll be fine. Once it's out of private hands, then it's at least something that can't be pulled off the table at the last minute. It would be the big concern on the airport authority, I would think. As long as they know it's us that owns it, they're gonna put the money into it, knowing that they're gonna get what they need.
I would agree, and
Okay.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. The other thing I was going to say is I think the timing of the negotiation is important. These specials are kicking in. I don't disagree that that's not prime real estate to develop, but I don't know, from a Johnson's perspective, having to pay those special assessments plus when that may develop speculation or the speculative nature of that being able to develop within 1, 3, 5, 10 years. I think this is a good time to use that as a tool in order to acquire the property and then go through the necessary requirements from the FAA standpoint, satisfy their regulations in order to get the final approval for the construction.
That answer your question?
Yep, that's it.
Okay. Zach?
Nothing really other than everybody's probably aware of it. The airport did get a large grant from the county to help that project become reality, which is a pretty big deal to make that happen because it was hard enough to get, will still be hard enough to get the FAA to sign off on everything that they need to sign off on, but the thing that they probably never were going to sign off on is funding Crosswind Money. It's just one of the things that doesn't make their priority list. So, yeah.
Everything that they ask.
Yeah.
And there'll still be some FAA money that kicks in for studies and engineering and stuff, but yeah, basically everything that the airport asks for, they get. So it'll be exciting to see it actually happen. It'll make the whole aviation community way more viable at this airport. So.
Right.
This might be more of a question for George, but how hard would it be to update this system so we can have a distant phone call with somebody where it doesn't, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like I've seen so many better systems than what we have. in this day and age. I mean, I've had, 300 person conference calls that I can hear people better with than what we have. Should we look at updating this or, something, so see a face and something? I know I thought the conversation came up earlier, and I thought that would probably behoove us as a city, make things a little easier if we are going to have more or some people remote. And I don't know if there's any upgrades we can do to this, or if it's start over again. I don't know. I hate doing that with something new, but I'm just trying to see if there's any ideas.
I could take a look at it sometime during the week and break it down, see what we have, and maybe come back with some ideas.
Yeah, I just think maybe moving forward, find something that's a little better for that. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents.
There's a lot simpler, yet more robust systems out there even, so.
Hey, George.
No concerns at this time.
Hey, Chad.
These 2 letters that we got, what are they, just reference or properties on tax deed within the city and the rate increase for the water?
Yep, so it's just informational, just to make you aware that obviously the commissioners made a motion that the city could buy those lots, but nothing states that we have to. So, and I haven't gotten anything further. And yep, just to make you aware that, yeah, the R&T Water District did approve an increase. But I know I think that's something that's been discussed that they're gonna do, is it every year or every other year or something, Zach? Sorry.
It could likely be every year, and RT actually buys water from WAS, and WAS increased their rate, and some of the discussion at RT was just, we didn't really want to get behind on it and have a big rate increase at some point in the future, so we just basically matched what the cost of RT was going to be. On the other hand, I think the city of Stanley, when we increased them a couple of years ago, kind of took the other approach and tried to get ahead of it and increased it enough so that we wouldn't have to increase it necessarily every time that it increased it.
Okay, those are my 2 questions for, was it?
Okay. Bill's
Judge's report.
or budget report, okay. Is there a second?
You guys
Didn't it
hoarding
come around there?
No.
I thought you guys handed it back and forth a little while ago, so.
I'm good with it, I'm guessing it's fine.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now it's bills.
Move to pay the bills.
I've got a question.
Easy, big shaker.
I do have a question on what fund, and that would be for Dakota Fence for the temporary fence. From my understanding, I don't think the county was willing to do it, and obviously because it's still in the dangerous building process, something that we decided to proceed with keeping there for the time being. So it is a 6-month lease.
I think they refused. They did. And Dakota Fence did agree. I talked to Amanda on it, and Dakota Fence did agree to, take care of that up to a point. And so I think to be right, we need to just go ahead and approve the fact that we have to pay for that fence for right now, until something further happens out there.
Well, I guess I'm gonna disagree because we're not the owners of it as of right now.
We aren't, but it is
the
in our,
county's.
it is on our property.
No, it's
Or,
on the
well,
county's
basically it is, Chad. It's in the city limits and
They own it. They have deed on it.
they do own it.
I don't even look-
They're gonna do the same way with that on that.
But how-
They took
Yeah.
Ownership of it and they can
Where does the liability fall? Is that gonna fall with them, Jordan? Is that gonna fall with us?
Restate that question. Like, I was
If
only
somebody,
able to hear part of that conversation.
if somebody gets hurt out at that, Greenstone building, the county actually owns it right now because they took it back for taxes, but if somebody actually got hurt on that property, if we took that fence down or had Dakota Fence remove the fence, where's the liability lie?
Well, it'd probably both be getting sued. I mean, if we've determined it's a dangerous building, if we're not taking some steps or precautions to probably preclude, kids entering in there, there'd be some liability for the city. I would have no doubt about that. I mean, county's the owner too. They have to take some responsibility and precautions too, but I would anticipate you'd both get sued and both probably would share some form of liability. Percentages, I don't know, but I mean, we can't ignore the fact that we can't ignore the information that we already, know as it relates to people being in that building and it being almost a place that is enticing for teenagers.
Well, there's no railings on any of that stuff up there. So given that fact, I mean, it is dangerous if there's people on the property and walking around up there. There's no lighting
The other
out
thing
there.
I'd say is if that fence comes down, we gotta have no trespassing signs up and where I'd ask maybe to allow the county to assist in putting those up. And I would ask the police department to heavily regulate that area. If they see people, they cite them. But, I think we gotta be proactive on this.
I think we're putting a lot on our police department as well, if we pull that fence down. Because I think there's gonna be a lot of calls and there's gonna be a lot of problems there.
Well, I don't think it's the question of the need of the fence, I just think it's the question of who should be funding the fence.
I know who I think should be funding it, but if they don't, well, all I'm saying is I don't think that we can just drop it.
I think this bill that's doing owing is fine for us to pay because it was in place from whenever while it was still owned technically by Greenstone.
That was my question. Is this the last 6 months or the next 6 months? Okay.
It's actually the next 6 months.
Because
It's a bill moving forward. So,
I'd be willing to split it with the county.
I think that's a nice middle there.
we can make that proposal. I guess we can have Amanda make that proposal to them, but I mean, if we get the answer back that they're not going to do it, I don't know. I just don't think we can
What if our
drop
ordinance
it.
say about dangerous buildings and having it blocked off or anything like that? I mean, because they're still required to follow the same, because there's something police on it, right? Like, everything we have is put in place to make it ownership of it, doing that.
I'm sure Jordan didn't hear anything you said to me. Sorry, just saying.
I'm guessing that the county assumes all encumbrances of the property, to answer your question. So the dangerous building doesn't go away. Whatever's out there is the county's, it's their responsibility, but no doubt with the way people sue, that they're gonna sue everybody. So whether we think it's right or wrong.
Right, but the fence is also stopping people from stealing the stuff that's there, and that's the county's property now that they're gonna try to sell to make money back on. So,
I would say to put it to bed, just propose to the county, have Amanda talk to whoever out there and see if, like Marley said, see if they'll split it with us.
I think that's the easy way. If they don't, I think we pay the bill.
Yeah.
I don't think it's that much that we're talking about anyway.
Well, I just wonder how, if we set, my thing is if we set that precedence that we're gonna pay it, how long are we gonna be paying for a fence out there? We might be paying, saying this is only 6 months, but what happens for the next 2 years that it's sitting out there? Then we continue to pay it without them splitting any costs while they're the owners of it, because that's, I guess, how I'm looking at it right now.
Right, well, I guess we can present that to the county. Tell them, we don't want to continue to do it, but, and explain the liability to them. If they have any common sense, I guess that they would understand what we're saying. But for the present time, I think we just pay the bill and because I think it's gonna cause us a lot more headache by not doing it than it is by doing it. Because I think those boys back there are gonna be working double time out there. I honestly do. If they see that fence come down, there's gonna be people crawling all over that place, so. Yeah, that's right. But we've all been up there, basically, and surveyed that whole situation out there. As it stands, it is very dangerous. It's not a playground. There's rebar laying in the weeds out there. There's all kinds of stuff out there that people could get hurt on. There's no lighting out there, so I just think the liability isn't worth the worry. Any other discussion on that?
I just think we don't want to delay it. It isn't Dakota Fence's issue either way, so I think we need to pay it, but.
Okay. Any other discussion on the bills?
Who's gonna let them out to know to talk to them?
What?
Who's gonna let them out to know to
I'll talk to her.
propose it? Okay.
I think my motion stands then.
You made the motion, right?
Yep.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion on the bills? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Chad made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Zach. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everybody.